Hey guys, what's going on? This is part 2 of our period talk, and today we are going to be talking about our symptoms that we are feeling around our periods and why, or the most common why, okay? Part 1, we covered a brief overview of our menstrual cycle, so go ahead and watch that if you haven't yet. And after you're done watching this video, give us a like, give it a comment below, so I can get some great feedback. And if you have any questions, put that below as well. All right, so what did we do earlier in the group? We took a poll. I wanted to see what kind of things you guys are experiencing personally. So at the top of the list were cravings, emotional/moodiness, fatigue, pain that wraps around the back, and headaches. So we're going to go over some of these things in relation to hormones and how those fluctuate. Now, we don't have to experience these things to where it's so debilitating that we're used to, or we think we have to. So tomorrow we'll be going over more on how to approach these things in a natural way, and so I am very excited about that chat. So yesterday we talked a lot about progesterone and estrogen. So we have some common imbalances that happen. One common imbalance can be a decrease in progesterone. This is going to create irritability, breast tenderness, short periods, anxiety, depression, insomnia, and inability to maintain a pregnancy. Okay, now on the flip side, we have an increase in estrogen or estrogen dominance. With this, fibrocystic breasts, weight gain, very heavy or irregular menstrual cycles, moodiness, headaches, breast tenderness, painful periods. Now, it's like, was the list going to stop there? Now, the most common PMS symptoms is from estrogen dominance. So keep that in mind, or an increase in estrogen, okay? So also, just some facts about estrogen that I wanted to put out there when it's imbalanced is estrogen dominance can lead to a decreased availability in our thyroid hormones. Our liver and our gut work together, which I've touched on in previous videos in here, to excrete or get rid of excess estrogen. We poop it out. But we need both our liver and our gut to be functioning optimally. And these can be affected, our liver and gut, by many things. Our liver is a huge natural detoxifier for our body, which again, I've gone over. And our gut is a huge player in many things, including estrogen. Okay, another fact, which I went over yesterday in part 1, is how progesterone can be converted to cortisol. So if you think about, if our progesterone is being used to be converted to cortisol, our progesterone is going to be lowered, and then our estrogen is going to be higher. So we're going to be estrogen dominant there. And then also we're going to have our cortisol, our stress hormone, raised. Those are two things that we do not want to happen, and two things that are very common. Cortisol imbalance is very common in our stressful environment, which we will touch on at a later date, and perhaps we'll get into that tomorrow as well. So I want to go over just two common things that occur as females, and then you guys asked me some questions that I wanted to just address on why we experience these things. Okay, so one thing that is very common and is becoming more and more, I think just awareness is growing, is endometriosis. So endometriosis is when we have growth of endometrial tissue on other areas rather than just the uterus, so like the fallopian tubes or the ovaries. Now, what creates this is estrogen dominance, which again is very common, is a common hormone imbalance. So a big thing that I've read up on and there's research about is environmental hormone disruptors, which we have talked about a lot in this group, and then there's more research being done on how these environmental hormone disruptors progress endometriosis. So again, we'll chat about this more tomorrow. So getting this hormone balance on point is very important when you have endometriosis. So natural remedies, we'll chat about more, is going to be key to helping endometriosis. That is really the meat and potatoes of that. Of course, what happens with endometriosis, we have a lot of pain, cramping, heavy bleeding, irregular periods, weight gain, and just it's very hard then also to lose weight for people with endometriosis, as well as fertility issues. So next up I wanted to talk about is PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. This is very much so related to, I want you to think of inflammation, insulin, and how then that relates to sugar dysregulation, and then how that relates to diabetes, heart health, and cholesterol. So really what happens is there's a domino effect of hormones where our ovaries start to produce testosterone from these cysts that are on the ovaries, if that just made sense. So we are going to then experience irregular periods again. With the increase in testosterone production, we'll see abnormal hair growth in areas, so random hairs popping up. And again, with that insulin resistance, it's going to be easier to gain weight and harder to lose weight. So an individual with PCOS, we're going to have to be cognizant about the blood sugar regulation. We're going to have to be cognizant on the type of carbs we're eating, and we're going to have to be cognizant, and we're going to implement in healthier fats. And that's similar to endometriosis. So again, that's something we will go over tomorrow. But this again is just it's a hormone imbalance that has been built up over time. And so it takes then time to help heal this hormone imbalance. Okay. So now some of the common questions I got, or a question I got about being sore before our period. So about a week or so before, I am very sore, my muscles hurt, and I'm fatigued. So the reason being is because we have a drop in estrogen before our period, and estrogen does create, think about it as lubrication and strength. So it's going to give us strength to muscles, strength to ligaments, and lubricate our joints and our vagina. That's just the truth. So before our period, it does decrease. So we're going to be experiencing, or we can experience more muscle aches and pains, maybe some joint aches, things like that. That is going to be why, is because of that decrease in estrogen. Now, another question, or actually not a question, but one of our common things across the board that we all experience were cravings. Yay! So a spike in progesterone, that's what thickens the lining. That's another hormone that thickens the lining. We have the estrogen that does that too, and then we got progesterone. Okay, this increases insulin, and then with that, we're going to then suffer from those hunger pains. So again, it's because of that flux in that hormone that we're experiencing these things. And again, with helping our hormones stay more balanced and not go too crazy up and down, we can help these hunger pains or these cravings. And again, staying on top of our foods to help decrease these hunger pains, which again, we'll go over tomorrow. All right, so last but not least, what do we have? Retaining H2O, so retaining water, so we feel maybe kind of fluffy during or before. And so during our periods, we not only retain water, and we can also retain sodium or salt. And again, this is because of the increase in progesterone. And then it stimulates aldosterone, which then makes the kidneys retain water, essentially. So with that, we are fluffier because of that hormone. So again, a quick tip is to make sure you're drinking plenty of water and decrease your sodium intake through foods that you are eating. So less processed foods, less processed meats, things like that. So that is going to be the reason why I think you have that water retention going on and that sodium retention. It is one of the effects of being on our menstrual cycle. So that is the meat and potatoes with what I wanted to go over today with hormone imbalances, what we experience sign and symptom wise. And then tomorrow what we'll be doing is going over how we can help our body balance out in a natural way. And again, These are all educational, suggestive, and you should always get checked out with your doctor if you have any serious questions or concerns. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.